Okay, so we're going to talk about my experiences routing Zelda. That's been quite interesting because I guess the first Zelda game I kind of routed was Wind Waker, I suppose it would be, you know. And I mean, Wind Waker was the first Zelda game I ever played, um, and I really don't know if it's my favorite. It definitely could be. I basically have like a top three of like Link to the Past, Wind Waker, and Majora's Mask. And I just can't tell you which of those three I think is the best. I really can't tell you because it kind of just depends on my mood. I think they're really good, but I can't give you an honest answer out of those three. But in terms of routing, I mean, Link to the Past is very far more simple to route, as are things like Ocarina of Time or Oot and Twilight Princess, because they follow kind of that standard format. Twilight Princess is basically like an expansion on Ocarina of Time's structure. Now it has like variation there, particularly in combat and certain, you know, dungeon puzzles, but structurally it's based around the same thing plus add in some wolf sections, and that's it. Wind Waker and Majora's Mask, on the other hand, have completely different structure because of their, I guess you could say, gimmicks. We usually don't say gimmicks in terms of these, but they're technically gimmicks, I suppose, which is the time in Majora's Mask and the, boat in Wind Waker. I guess we'll call them gimmicks. But they add a whole different variety to gameplay. Now, something like a Loft Wing and Skyward Sword, I don't really think does as much. It's kind of like it's kind of like an abridgment of those broad concepts. The sky in Skyward Sword is nothing in comparison to the Great Sea in Wind Waker. Nah, you can't compare those. And then there's no Zelda game that really captures the time system like Majora's Mask. That's really a completely unique thing. Majora's Mask is scheduled to the degree it is, which depends on taste, because some people don't like that. And that's fine. And I'm not sure what I think about it, honestly, because, I've been playing Majora's Mask as of late, replaying it, rerouting it, basically, because my old notes for it ended up being destroyed when my old tablet suddenly died. One oh so unfortunate day. Bunch of games I had routed, just lost all the notes for them. Final Fantasy VII, my second Final Fantasy V reroute, and Majora's Mask and Twilight Princess. So I'm gonna need to do the notes of Twilight Princess again too. So, well, I don't mind playing them, but yeah, that was quite the loss. I think that was like 300 notes I lost and I don't get back. So, eh, going from here, going from here. But eh, in case of Majora's Mask, I mean, routing it is very different from other games. Because that's the thing with Majora's Mask, is I play it a certain way, which is I try to beat the game with the least amount of time resets as possible, applying the Song of Time to reset time as little as possible, which is kind of interesting because in the Japanese version of the game, on your save file, it actually keeps track of how many times you've used the Song of Time. So maybe they had that a bit more in mind for that version. It's kind of interesting. But I can do it in 3 days. No. I can only do it in 4. Because you need to. It's because of the fact that you need to do the cafe quest twice and you need to get the all night mask. But to get the all night mask, you need the adult's wallet, which means you need to clear the Oceanside Spider House on the first day, which is nearly impossible to do, like, right after you reset. I think it's technically possible, but you would need to sacrifice, yeah, you would need to sacrifice a lot of other things. And the thing is, you would be getting the all night mask at the end of that cycle, probably, which means you would need to save the old lady. and it's around 12:30 in the game after you save the old lady. And, to get the Oceanside Spider House, you can use the Goron glitch to jump over to get to Great Bay, but to get in there, you still need the hook shot, meaning you need to go to the Pirate's Fortress. That takes like 2 hours, even with like, optimal play. So you can have like 3 in the morning to beat it. You can just narrowly beat it. I think you can. And that's if you skip like everything else. It's possible. It's possible to do that. But I don't do it in my route. Because it's a 100% route, and with as little 3-day resets as possible. So I guess it's technically possible to mitigate it by getting the adult's wallet on the first 3-day cycle. And the thing about that is you also want to get the Gilded Sword on the first 3-day cycle, right? And I don't think it's possible, because that's what I ran into. I don't think it's possible to route it in a way where you can get the Gilded Sword and you can get the adult's wallet. I've tried, but I just didn't. When I'm thinking about it in my head right now in this moment, I'm like, maybe I can. But then in my notes, I was always referred to, and it's like, oh, you need the hook shot. It takes too much time. I mean, you can do the Oceanside Spider House pretty quickly, but you need fire arrows too when I think about it, which makes it impossible. So, okay, I understand why I didn't do it. Yeah, I think about it, and then I go, maybe I could, but then, no, you need this, and you need the captain's hat, and cannot be done, cannot be done, cannot be done. I mean, technically, you don't need the captain's hat. It's just for the heart piece, but well, most people have the captain's hat. But, the route does get done. The graveyard minigames, the graveyard visits as quickly as possible. I mean, the only thing I don't get done is I don't get Epona until the second 3-day cycle, because I can't do that infinite bomb back. Yep. You backflip and then you like put a bomb and you hover in the air, and I can't do that glitch. I can't do an extended super slide either, not like it really matters because the Goron roll. But if I could do that glitch, I could get into Romani Ranch early and get Epona early, and then I could get the Garro's Mask, which would mean I could get to Icona Canyon earlier, but I can't do that, so I can't do that glitch. I tried to do an extended super slide, and I practiced for an hour and had no progress. I'm just like, no. I'll just route it so I get the Goron's Mask as early as I can and clean up everything in time in the field after that. Just ignore it. Just ignore it. I have no need. And even then, it would take up time that I don't have anyway, because the route is exactly made in a way where, I get to Woodfall exactly at 2, so then I can return to Clocktown and get the room key, which gives you free money, and do the Honey and Darling game on the first day. So it's all integrated. It's all integrated after this time. I mean, you need to make a lot of timetables for Majora's Mask. And I have fun doing it. But, I'm doing it again. And I forgot some of my old route that I did before, so I needed to reteach myself, basically. I can do the execution fine. Getting myself to the point where I can execute the game like that, play well enough. God, in the summer I took like a month to route it, but it's been like 3 days of actual play, and I'm pretty much, I'm gonna finish it today. So Majora's Mask is definitely difficult to route, but it's a game you can play in multiple ways like that, and something very, very enjoyable about that. Because like it's interesting, right? Because it's not like the way I play is technically the most optimal. It's just a self-imposed challenge, basically. Is I want to just get it done with as little time resets as I possibly can. Because you look at like a Zelda dungeon walkthrough, that one, he just resets for everything, like all the time. He's like, okay, we did this one thing, reset, and you can do that. You can play Majora's Mask in that way, reset all the time. That's the safest way to play. for a newbie to Majora's Mask, there's no problem with abusing the Song of Time whenever you want. I mean, it's really easy to reschedule back to a point where you can, where you can get back to where you've been. The way the game is, the only way you can't, the only thing you can't really do that within the game is the cafe quest. Besides that, and a couple time specific events, but you can set those up. You can reset all the time and be prepped and be good. I mean, you'll be better because you'll have time. And in that way, I mean, to an extent, the pressure of Majora's Mask that you might feel is kind of your own volition, which for me is of course an enjoyable aspect of it. Something you need to understand. But for me, I believe I only played the Song of Time like 4 times in my entire route. Yeah, because there's the first cycle with the Deku, you get back, and then I get a lot done. Second route, I get the Adult's Wallet, but I can't get the All-Night Mask because it's also a cafe quest. I do the cafe quest alongside the third and fourth dungeons. And then, I basically do these little mini things where I'll buy the all-night mask, and then I'll go and use the all-night mask to get those heart pieces, and then I just do the end of the game. So I guess that's like 5 3-day cycles in the entire thing, although you're only really like playing seriously for like 2 of them. I get almost everything in the game in just those 2 3-day cycles. So I've basically optimized it as much as I can, I think. The only thing you could really mix up is if you could do that infinite bomb jump thing and get into Romani Ranch early and get Epona, then you could do the cafe quest alongside all the things I do in the first 3-day cycle, which I'm not even sure if that's possible to do. It's not really, because you lose like half a day in the cafe quest for the final day, guaranteed, because you enter Sakon's hideout at 6, and then you get out at 12, as if it took all that time, and then, you need to get cafe at like 5 in the morning. So, like, that's basically, you're pretty much shut out of doing much other things, because of the way that is set up. It's kind of annoying. And that's one thing I'll say for anyone who is, looking into it. Do not go into Sakon's hideout, say to yourself, I forgot something, and then leave. Because if you do, the door is closed and you can't get back in, and that's a dead cafe quest. So that has happened to me. It hurts. I'm just telling that to you so you don't need to go through that pain. Because I've gone through other pain. Last night I was playing, and I was in the Great Bay Temple, and I was like around done, and it was good. And then the game just shut off for some reason. I don't know why. Short circuit or something. And yeah, need to reset the entire thing. And that's the problem with my route, and that's the problem with the way I play. But I have fun doing it, and I like doing it. I'm not a Song of Time abuser. And maybe you can get the bunny herd earlier, then it'd be a bit more fun. But whatever. I'm very happy with how I've done it. So that's the case for Majora's Mask. Majora's Mask is definitely the most complex to route, and then it would be Wind Waker after that. Because Wind Waker, you can literally make like a physical route, and that's exactly what I did. I got a map of the sea chart in the game, and I drew lines as to what routes I'd be taking throughout the game. Getting items as early on as I can, taking that into account, taking the Triforce charts into account in that way. And I loved doing that. I loved handling Wind Waker in that way. And Wind Waker is a game you can handle that way, and you can do Wind Waker in a lot of ways. Wind Waker and Majora's Mask are games, like I could do challenge runs of where I do certain things in a certain way and all that, and that's brilliant. And for those who say, oh, well, since Zelda 1, the games have all been streamlined and they aren't open-ended and blah blah blah, no, I disagree completely. It's just they have a streamline as in a general route you can follow. But you can go many ways in the case of Majora's Mask and Wind Waker. Twilight Princess is like that. Oot is like that. Skyward Sword is mostly like that. But Majora's Mask and Wind Waker are not like that. They are very broad, and I love that. Now, like Link to the Past is the game that established that kind of, that streamline. I mean, granted, in Link to the Past, once you get to the Dark World, after the first dungeon, you can do them in any order you want, and it's more of an order than I even thought you could, because I just recently, I guess not recently at this point, but I did figure out that you can get to like Kakariko Village in the Dark World without the hookshot, which amazed me because I thought you needed it. So you can actually get the Tempered Sword before like your second palace in the Dark World, which amazed me because I never knew that. I've been playing Link to the Past for like 5 years or something, so I never knew that. Obviously you go usually in the 1, 2, 3, 4 kind of order, but you don't need to, and I don't. So I loved that you can actually get a Tempered Sword early in Link to the Past. I didn't know that, and that's just one little variation about that game I didn't know. Although that game is quite streamlined. Oot is more streamlined than Link to the Past, but they use the same kind of general structure, and the games would copy Oot and thereby copy the way Oot copied Link to the Past throughout time afterwards. Twilight Princess would. And then there's that kind of general structure. But like I said, Wind Waker and Majora's Mask are more varied. I mean, yeah, Wind Waker, I think. Yeah, Majora's Mask and Wind Waker, you need to go through the dungeons in the same order every time, if you're not sequence breaking. But besides that, the worlds themselves and side quests, they mix things up, and I love it. Wind Waker, I mean, that's an interesting thing about Wind Waker. I mean, in Majora's Mask, you can do things a lot more alongside the main route. Wind Waker, you kind of need to go out of your way, and it's up to you. A lot of it's up to you. You can get many things done early. I think I had like 13 heart containers by the time I got to the Tower of the Gods or something in my route. I'll need to check on that. Because I only have the route written for Wind Waker right now. It's in the planning stages. I'll need to actually play it and test it. Although I've played Wind Waker the most of any Zelda game, so in terms of execution, I already have it. I don't need to do that. So it's just the routing on the item scale, basically. If everything I'm playing there works, which I think it has. I've estimated that. That should be fun. Another aspect of it is combat. I have, or I guess I don't have anymore. I used to have my notes on battle strategies. How to defeat certain enemies. Like Majora's Mask. I would do a thing where I would like walk up to a white wolf that was shielding. It would hit my shield, then I just walk behind it and then just shoot it with a fire arrow. Dead. That's how you get, you find those little strategies to get through things without using the razor sword. Just because the razor sword, breaks, and I'm kind of OCD about that. And, I worry about the numbers for it. A little less than other people, because other people just don't even use it at all, but it's there. But, you have other things. You have the brilliant strategy against Dynalphos in Majora's Mask of just Deku Nut, level 2 sword jump attack with either Deku Stick or Razor Sword or Gilded Sword or whatever. And that is just a one shot. And that's just brilliant there. Chugga Conroy actually used a lot of those strategies, and he came up with them on his own, as far as I can tell. And yeah, like good tactics, Chugga. He's not one I usually consider for that optimization, right? He plays games typically in a quite general way, but he 100% games. And he showed off a lot of things in his playthrough. Probably not a lot of people use or do, like ice arrows and then using Deku form to leap across the water. I imagine a lot of people forget about the Deku form by that point in the game. I mean, he uses Zora form for combat a lot. I don't think I use Zora form for combat in my entire route. There's just no reason to. It's weak, and it's laggy, and I guess I use the shield, but yeah, that's what I do. I mean, I use a couple like Zora boomerangs to get rid of some bomb shoe, but that's what I'm doing. But like it's a fine playthrough, and honestly, that playthrough I think is the best for introducing Majora's Mask to newbies. Watch that, then watch Zelda Dungeons, little walkthrough for it, if you want probably a good introduction to higher level Majora's Mask. My monitor is looking like awfully pixelated right now. I don't know. I know it's because of the darkness or whatnot. But like I honestly wish I could post like a video of me playing Majora's Mask or something, but I have no way of recording things, so it kind of sucks. Maybe we'll get there sometime. But Wind Waker. I mean, Wind Waker changed some of the item uses in interesting ways. Like the hookshot in Wind Waker, when you use it defensively, in much more cases will just send you right towards the target. Where in the 64 games, it usually was kind of like a stun thing, or it would just weaken or hurt enemies. Only certain enemies would you actually get pulled to. Wind Waker, you get pulled to them a lot more, which isn't bad necessarily, because you can pull yourself to them and then do like an instant jump attack, and then that knocks them to the floor very good. That's very cool. I mean, you can do that on Dark Nuts. Take their helmet off, and then hookshot to them, and then jump attack them in the face. And that's a good move. Wind Waker, there's a lot of little things like that as well. Even more so, I might think. And I find a lot of people just don't use it. They don't mix it up with Wind Waker combat really at all. The boomerang is super useful in Wind Waker. I see so many people that they'll take off the helmet of a Dark Nut, and then they'll do nothing with that. They'll just fight him like normal. Boomerang. It stuns him. And you can just basically stun lock every enemy with the boomerang. Every moblin, just boomerang. You can. And then there's also like Skull Hammer plus Ice Arrows, that brilliance. You don't have Deku Nuts in Wind Waker, which kind of sucks, I guess. But the arrows are kind of spammable. I mean, they were spammable in games before, but they just get into like a stun lock. And they're kind of just useful as like a general projectile, but I don't like it as much as the N64 games. I love a lot of the N64 engine, how they handle things. Wind Waker is not like a perfect translation of that, but it adds its own things that are appealing. Wind Waker, in terms of combat, and in terms of movement, and in terms of the structure, is appealing in its own way. It doesn't have the same movement. It doesn't have that. And I mean, for me, I like it more. Like, I like Wind Waker more than I do Oot. I love Wind Waker's combat, but my favorite combat of any Zelda game is Twilight Princess's combat. And it still is. I mean, Twilight Princess is kind of bare in terms of those other elements I've been talking about, like exploratory elements, potential for variation and routing. Twilight Princess, I think, is like the most streamlined of the 3D titles. You can only, like, the dungeon order is all preset. You're always going in the same order. The areas you go through, always preset. So you're watching like some guide, and the route you take probably will not vary that much if you want to mix things up. Which is okay, I guess. But it doesn't lack that as much compared. It lacks that compared to previous titles. But overall, I think the combat is just excellent, and the general level design is just very good, very fun. I love the sword techniques. I love the various equipment, those things you get. I love bomb arrows. I love all that. Twilight Princess is very enjoyable in that way, but it's kind of rudimentary compared to the others, to an extent. More like Oot, but Oot still was more varied. than Twilight Princess is. Oot, like Twilight Princess and Oot, I basically have kind of around the same level. And then, like I said, Link to the Past, Wind Waker, Majora's Mask, I kind of have on the same level. I just don't know. I just can't, like I just can't because, just kind of depends on my mood. I mean, like there is kind of some nonsense in Majora's Mask, but when it's good, it's just so good. And then for Wind Waker, I mean, I don't really have much problems at all, really. Like I have no problems with being patient for sailing. And I'm a purist. I'm a purist to the point where when I saw the Swift Sail, like, no, this is for the impatient. You're lame if you use the Swift Sail. The Swift Sail is lame. No, we put up with our Wind's Requiem GameCube version for the win, and I'm not like that anymore to the same extent. Although I still will say I think the GameCube version looks better. This day I think it looks better, and it's the version I play. I don't have a Wii U, so I don't just play the GameCube version, and I prefer to play the GameCube version. GameCube version is real version. It's just like Majora's Mask. It's just like Majora's Mask. 3DS Majora's Mask sucks. 3DS Majora's Mask ruins that route I just described to you. Well, not just described to you. It was like 20 minutes ago, but the route I did describe to you, ruined by 3DS. Mr. Georg takes like double the amount of time. I was playing him for like half a day. Just Georg on the 3DS because he's such a mess. Twin Mole is the same thing. They killed it. Like the bosses. I don't even need to go into that. I don't need to go into that right now. Majora's Mask 3D, no. Wind Waker HD seems like nothing compared to the crime that is Majora's Mask 3D. It could be like Oot 3D. Oot 3D I might actually prefer to the original. I think I probably do. For very simple reasons. Strap, big Goron sword sheath. What else was there? I guess you have Master Quest, but whatever. Oh, there's one other thing I liked about it more. I don't remember. It's really just those two things. Strap and big Goron sword sheath. You don't know how much I love that. Big Goron sword sheath and strap. If you want to know what I mean by strap, I mean in official artwork, Link has this strap around his shoulder, right? And in the game he doesn't. And it bugs me. And the big Goron sword in the N64 does not have its own sheath. He just kind of pulls out the Master Sword. And it's the big Goron sword for some reason. And that bugs me. In the 3DS version, he does, and it's this giant sheath, and I love it, and it looks cool, and I'm a fan. So, I actually think, yeah, I probably prefer the 3DS version to the original Oot myself. I mean, the iron boots. The thing that people care about, I care about less. But that's good. So, 3DS version of Oot, better. 3DS version of Majora's Mask, unless you're like some beginner, unless you're a kid, unless unless you're a baby boy. No. True men play the N64 version. It must be said. But I mean, like, I really didn't describe much about like routing Oot and Twilight Princess because really it's just if you know the dungeons, and if you do, then you know how to play the game. It's really just like combat strategy. You can do a lot of that with Oot, but in a lot of cases, it's just like Deku Nut, Big Goron sword jump attack. How do you beat Stalfos? Deku Nut, Big Goron sword jump attack. You need some type of you need some type of title for that. Some name I can call it without just spelling out what it is, because it's a lot of that. I mean, it's kind of appreciative that Oot doesn't have the epic spin attack that Majora's Mask gives you, because I'd just break the game if I had that with the big one, so there would be no game. But Oot was generous enough for, I guess, uh, not generous enough to give you the upgraded spin. So I play the game. Majora's Mask, it's not as overpowered. But you have enemy strategy. I mean, I love my Iron Knuckle strategy. You have all kinds of strategies like that. Because, the Iron Knuckle, you can fight him in so many ways. For me, if I'm Child Link, then I just walk away from him and throw bombs ad infinitum until his armor comes off, then just shoot slingshots at him. You can do the same thing with Adult Link, but what I typically do is Nehru's Love, and then I run at him with the big Goron sword, jump attacking him, and that gets him done quick. Nehru's Love is so good, and no one uses it. I mean, seriously, it's a free invincibility power-up. And what else are you using magic for besides, like, elemental arrows or whatever, which the game never even uses anyway? It's so awesome. Like, I purposely do the Spirit Temple third, which you can do. I go Force Temple, Water Temple, Spirit Temple, because Nehru's Love is that good. I use Nehru's Love all the time. If I were playing Master Quest, I especially would, because the Fire Temple has Iron Knuckles in it. So yeah, I would be using Nehru's Love. Nehru's Love is epic, and no one uses it, and kind of sucks, because everyone does the Spirit Temple last, so they never use Nehru's Love for its true, its proper form, what it should be. No one appreciates it. Its true beauty. I mean, like Wind Waker. It's because I haven't played Wind Waker in a long time, because my old Wind Waker is dead. But I do not know if the Elixir Suit plus Magic Armor in that game will keep your invincibility if you get hit. I think it might, actually. We'll test that. In Twilight Princess, you can abuse Magic Armor for the Great Spin, and I absolutely do, because the Great Spin is, like, so OP in Twilight Princess. It's pretty OP. The final area is actually very fun, because I just go through it and just Great Spin everything. You go through that right place, to the east, Great Spin, all the things that approach me. Other side, Great Spin. Enter the room, Great Spin. Final boss, I don't do the Great Spin, but I get through the entire place just with Great Spin. And that's actually great, because it gives you that sense of empowerment, gives you that sense that you're at the end of the game and you're the king, and you rule and you're the strongest now. As long as you can keep your health at max, which I can, because the Great Spin is just that good. And, yeah. I mean, Wind Waker, like the Elixir Suit stuff is great, if you know how to use that, but it's kind of a bit more annoying, because just how Wind Waker works. You don't have as good a crowd control, and enemies in Wind Waker are more difficult to deal with, I will say. I don't know how long I can go on about this, Maybe I should bring it to an end. It's coming in ranting about routing about Zelda. It didn't say much about Link to the Past, but there isn't much to say. You see like an average walkthrough, then you've seen what you need to see. There's combat strategy. You can do things with a hookshot. Several people do not know. And I love the Bombos attack, and people don't take advantage of that properly. Seriously, in the Ice Palace, I'm just spamming Bombos and like everything I see, because they hand out magic so much there. But I also didn't talk about Skyward Sword, but Skyward Sword is its own beast. And beast means many things when I say that in that context. Yeah. But, okay, I think I'll be bringing the end to this one. I was talking about Zelda, because I've been playing it. So, I really need to do like a video where I commentate and show this off, probably in post commentary, and do a route and whatever. It's kind of like that one big boss route from Metal Gear Solid 2. I think it's like a famous one. It's an old school one, but this dude, kind of like with obsessive compulsive disorder, he says it. He's talking over this big boss route that he did, and he's talking about the philosophical interpretation of Metal Gear Solid 2. It's a very enjoyable video. I wanted to make things like that myself, but it all takes time. I'm going so dark over here with the monitor I'm looking into. I'm looking like some horror movie character, so I hope it doesn't come out that bad. Seriously. But I'm haunting them here. But this will be the end for now, good sirs. Thank you for tuning in. If you're a fan of Zelda, or you wanted me to talk about other games that I didn't talk about, just me to talk about 3D and the main titles, Minish Cap or whatever, or 2D games, then feel free to mention that. Feel free to inquire about that. I'm probably gonna make a video about that. But besides that, adios, chaps. I'll be back sometime, and we'll make another discussion. So, farewell.